A single photograph posted at 2:37 in the morning ignited a wildfire across Turkish social media that would consume the private lives of two of Turkey's most beloved stars, forcing them into an impossible choice between love and legacy. What Baris Arduk did next shocked even his closest friends. Before we dive into the chaos that unfolded, you need to understand something crucial about Baris Arduk. This isn't just another celebrity caught in tabloid drama. This is a man who spent 15 years carefully constructing an image of privacy, professionalism, and unwavering dedication to his craft. The son of an Albanian father and Turkish mother, Baris grew up in Switzerland before returning to Turkey to pursue acting, a decision that would eventually make him a household name across 3 continents. His breakout role in Karalık Aşk opposite Elçin Sanga transformed him from a struggling theater actor into a phenomenon, with over 12 million Instagram followers hanging on his every post. But here's what most people don't realize. Behind the carefully curated social media presence and the charming interviews, Baris had maintained one unbreakable rule for his entire career: never let them see the real you. That rule shattered on a cold February night when everything changed. But to understand why this moment sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, we need to go back 6 months earlier to a charity gala in Istanbul where Baris arrived alone, despite being in what everyone assumed was a committed relationship. Photographers noticed something peculiar. While other celebrities worked the room together, posting couple photos and sharing moments, Baris seemed intentionally isolated. His interactions were brief, professional, almost mechanical. One photographer who has covered Turkish entertainment for 20 years told me something that still gives me chills. She said Baris looked like a man carrying a secret so heavy it was changing his posture. The woman at the center of this storm deserves her introduction because without understanding her, none of what follows makes any sense. While mainstream media has been quick to paint simplistic narratives, the truth is far more complex and, frankly, more human than anyone anticipated. She's a successful professional in her own right, someone who deliberately stayed out of the spotlight, who valued her privacy as much as Baris valued his. Friends describe her as fiercely intelligent, independent, and completely uninterested in the trappings of celebrity culture, which made their connection all the more unexpected when they first met 3 years ago at a private screening event. According to multiple sources close to both parties, their relationship began as a friendship built on intellectual compatibility and shared values. This wasn't a whirlwind romance driven by physical attraction or industry convenience. They spent months as friends, having long conversations about art, philosophy, and their respective career ambitions. One friend recalled them spending an entire evening debating Turkish cinema's role in shaping national identity, while everyone else at the party was networking and taking selfies. The romance that eventually blossomed grew slowly, carefully, almost reluctantly, as if both recognized that once they crossed that line, there would be no going back. For 2 years, they managed to keep their relationship almost entirely private. Think about that for a moment. In an era where every celebrity meal gets documented and analyzed, where paparazzi track movements through GPS and social media geotags, these 2 people maintained a genuine private life. They had systems. Different cars arriving at different times. Separate entrances. Trusted friends who acted as shields. Baris would finish shooting and instead of going to industry events, he'd disappear for days at a time. His team told media he was exhausted or traveling for personal reasons. The truth was simpler and more beautiful. He was building a life away from cameras. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. Rumors began circulating in industry circles about 6 months ago. Nothing concrete at first, just whispers. People noticed Baris seemed distracted on set. His usual laser focus had softened. He'd take phone calls during breaks and walk away, with an expression colleagues described as conflicted. Around the same time, fashion bloggers noticed something odd. She had stopped appearing at events she'd regularly attended. Her social media, never very active to begin with, went completely silent. 2 people deeply connected to their communities were simultaneously withdrawing, and while fans of Baris noticed his behavioral changes, nobody had connected the dots yet. Then came the festival incident that entertainment journalists are still dissecting. Baris attended the Golden Butterfly Awards in December, one of Turkish television's biggest nights. He won Best Actor for his role in a drama that had dominated ratings all year. Standard procedure would have him thanking family, co-stars, the production team. Instead, Baris gave a speech that left the audience confused and gossip columns working overtime. He spoke about authenticity, about the cost of public life, about the masks we wear to satisfy expectations. He said something that got quoted everywhere but understood nowhere. He said, "The roles we play off screen are sometimes more demanding than anything a writer could create, and I'm tired of performing." People assumed he was talking about the pressures of fame in general. They were wrong. He was preparing everyone for what was coming, though he probably didn't fully realize it himself yet. Because here's what we now know was happening behind the scenes during that exact period. The relationship was fracturing under the weight of secrecy. According to someone very close to the situation, they'd reached a breaking point. She had given him an ultimatum, not out of vanity or a desire for attention, but out of basic human need for acknowledgement. She told him that loving someone in the shadows, being hidden like a secret to be ashamed of, was slowly destroying her sense of self-worth. She needed him to make a choice. Baris agonized over this decision in ways that might seem dramatic until you understand the stakes. Turkish entertainment operates on parasocial relationships between stars and fans. Millions of people follow these actors not just for their work, but as idealized versions of romance and possibility. When Baris appeared on screen, particularly in romantic roles, fans weren't just watching a character. They were projecting their own romantic fantasies onto him. His team knew this. They'd built his brand partially on that accessibility, that sense that Baris could belong to everyone because he belonged to no one specific. Going public with a serious relationship wouldn't just change his image. It could fundamentally alter his marketability. The financial implications were enormous. We're talking about endorsement deals worth millions, carefully negotiated contracts with morality clauses, international projects that depended on maintaining a certain public persona. His management presented him with market research showing that when male romantic leads in Turkish dramas go public with relationships, their appeal drops measurably among key demographics. Female fans between 18 and 35, the core audience for romantic series, engage less with actors they perceive as unavailable. It sounds cynical because it is cynical, but it's also the entertainment industry's brutal reality. For weeks, Baris wrestled with this impossible choice. Love or career? Authenticity or image? Personal happiness or professional obligation? Friends say he barely slept. He'd show up to meetings looking exhausted, distracted. His performance on set remained professional because he's too much of a craftsman to let personal issues affect his work, but the moment cameras stopped rolling, he'd retreat into himself. One co-star described watching him sit alone in his trailer, staring at his phone for hours, typing messages and deleting them without sending. Meanwhile, she had made her own decision. In early January, she quietly started removing herself from his life. Not dramatically, not with ultimatums or anger, but with the sad resignation of someone who'd realized she loved someone more than they could love her back. Or more accurately, she loved someone who loved their career more than they could risk loving her publicly. She stopped answering calls as frequently. Her responses to messages became shorter, less engaged. She was protecting herself the only way she knew how, by creating distance before the inevitable end. This is when Baris did something nobody expected. Instead of letting the relationship fade quietly into memory, instead of taking the safe path his team recommended, he made a choice that would detonate across social media and entertainment news. But before we get to that moment, you need to understand one more crucial piece of this puzzle. There was someone else watching all of this unfold with very particular interest. Another figure in Baris's life whose role in this story has been almost entirely misunderstood by media coverage. Her name started appearing in comment sections and gossip forums around mid-January. She's an actress, someone Baris had worked with years ago on a project that never achieved massive success, but had created genuine friendship between the cast. She'd recently gone through a very public divorce, and tabloids, always hungry for narrative, started speculating about a connection with Baris. Paparazzi photos showed them having coffee. Two colleagues catching up became evidence of romance in the fevered dream of celebrity gossip. The timing seemed almost too convenient, happening right as Baris's actual relationship was crumbling. Here's what actually happened, according to sources who were present. Baris reached out to this actress friend specifically because she'd navigated her own personal life, becoming public spectacle. He wanted advice. He wanted to understand what happened when you stopped protecting your privacy, when you let the world into your personal life. She told him the truth. She said it was hell, but it was also liberation. She said the public scrutiny was brutal and invasive and often cruel, but living authentically was worth the cost. She said, and this is a direct quote that was later confirmed, "You can survive losing fans. You can't survive losing yourself." That conversation changed everything. 3 days later, on February 16th at 2:37 in the morning, Baris posted a photograph to Instagram. Not a professional shot, not a carefully staged image approved by his publicity team. A simple photo of two hands intertwined, taken in natural light, no filters, no caption beyond a single red heart emoji. Within minutes, his phone exploded. His management called furious. His publicist sent 17 messages asking what he was thinking. Entertainment news sites crashed from traffic as everyone tried to figure out whose hand he was holding. But here's the detail that made this truly shocking. The woman's hand in the photo wore a specific ring that people familiar with her recognized immediately. She'd worn it in background photos from years ago, a family heirloom she never took off. Within hours, amateur internet detectives had identified her, and suddenly a woman who'd spent years avoiding publicity was trending across multiple countries. Her social media, inactive for months, was flooded with thousands of comments. Some supportive, many cruel, all invasive. What happened next revealed something about Baris that even his longtime fans hadn't fully understood. Instead of backtracking or letting his team craft some ambiguous explanation, he doubled down. At 8 in the morning, he posted a second photo, this one showing both their faces, smiling, clearly in love, with a caption that essentially said, "This is my person. This is my life. I'm done hiding." The statement was longer and more eloquent, touching on privacy and authenticity and the difference between public figures and public property, but the essence was clear. He'd made his choice. The response was immediate and polarized. Millions of supportive comments flooded in celebrating his honesty and courage. But there was also backlash, intense and personal. Some fans expressed feeling betrayed, as if Baris had broken an unspoken contract by falling in love. Brands started making phone calls. A major endorsement deal was quietly suspended pending review. Industry analysts began speculating about the impact on his upcoming projects. Everything his team had warned him about was happening in real time. But something else was happening too, something the market research and focus groups hadn't predicted. Other actors started coming forward with their own stories of hiding relationships, of choosing career over authenticity, of the emotional cost of living double lives. A conversation started across Turkish entertainment about the unrealistic expectations placed on public figures. Younger fans, particularly, rallied around Baris, seeing his choice as refreshingly honest in an industry built on manufactured image. Now here's where we need to separate confirmed facts from speculation, because media coverage has blurred these lines deliberately. It's been reported that Baris lost significant endorsement money, but the actual figures haven't been confirmed publicly. Some outlets claim he's lost up to 40% of his brand partnerships, while others suggest the impact has been minimal. What we know factually is that two brands did not renew contracts that were up for negotiation, but whether that's directly related to his relationship reveal or normal business decisions is unclear. What is confirmed is the impact on the woman at the center of this story. She's been photographed, followed, analyzed, criticized, and celebrated by people who know nothing about her beyond her connection to Baris. Her professional social media has been flooded with comments having nothing to do with her work. She's had to increase personal security. Friends say she's struggling with the sudden loss of anonymity, that she's questioned whether the relationship can survive this level of scrutiny. This brings us to the most recent development, the one that's caused what the tabloids are calling relationship chaos. Just 2 weeks ago, she was notably absent from a major event Baris attended. He arrived alone, didn't mention her in interviews, and left quickly without participating in the usual media activities. Immediately, speculation exploded. Were they over? Had the pressure destroyed what they'd tried to build? Was Baris regretting his decision? Gossip sites published articles with headlines screaming about breakups and regret, most based on absolutely nothing but his appearance at a single event without her. Here's what actually happened, according to someone with direct knowledge. She didn't attend because she had a professional commitment of her own. She was working. It's that simple and that boring. But the assumption that she must accompany him to every public event or their relationship must be failing reveals so much about how we view celebrity relationships. They become performance, required to constantly prove themselves to audiences who feel entitled to judge their validity. The real chaos isn't in their relationship. It's in the impossible standards and contradictory expectations we place on public figures. We demand authenticity, but punish honesty. We claim to support love, but create environments where loving someone publicly becomes a liability. We celebrate privacy, but consume every detail of people's personal lives with insatiable hunger. Baris' shocking move wasn't posting a photo of his partner. It was daring to suggest that his personal life belonged to him and not to the millions who follow his career. So what's the truth behind all the headlines and speculation? The truth is simpler than the dramatic narratives being sold. 2 people fell in love. One of them is famous enough that his personal life generates revenue for an entire ecosystem of media, brands, and platforms. He tried to protect their relationship by keeping it private. The secrecy became unsustainable. He made a choice to prioritize the relationship over the image, knowing it would have professional consequences. Those consequences are still unfolding in ways both expected and surprising. Are they still together? According to the most recent information from reliable sources, yes. Are they struggling with the adjustment to public scrutiny? Absolutely. Has Baris expressed any regret about his decision? Not publicly, and people close to him say privately he's more resolved than ever, despite the challenges. He's apparently told friends that whatever he loses professionally is less valuable than what he'd have lost personally by continuing to hide someone he loves. The broader implications of this story extend beyond one actor's personal decision. Turkish entertainment is watching closely because Baris isn't the only person navigating these impossible choices. There are dozens of actors, musicians, and public figures maintaining secret relationships, hiding partners, pretending to be perpetually available to maintain market value. What Baris did was throw a spotlight on a system that profits from keeping people isolated and image over substance. Whether this moment represents actual change or just temporary controversy depends largely on what happens next. If Baris' career continues successfully despite his public relationship, it challenges the conventional wisdom that romantic leads must remain seemingly unattached. If other actors feel empowered to live more openly, it could shift industry dynamics. But if the professional consequences prove severe enough to serve as a warning, it reinforces the existing system. What we're witnessing isn't just celebrity gossip. It's a real-time case study in the collision between personal authenticity and professional image, between human connection and market forces, between who we are and who we're expected to be. Baris Arduk's shocking move was choosing to be a whole person rather than a carefully managed product, and the chaos it sparked reveals how radical that simple choice actually is in the entertainment industry. The coming months will tell us more. Will they weather this storm together? Will the professional fallout be as severe as some predict, or will authenticity prove more valuable than his team feared? Will other public figures feel empowered to make similar choices, or will this become a cautionary tale? These questions remain open, the story still unfolding. What's already clear is that Baris fundamentally changed the conversation. He refused to accept that being a public figure means surrendering the right to private happiness. He challenged the transactional nature of celebrity, where personal life becomes currency. He insisted, despite all the market research and professional advice, that love matters more than image. Whether you view that as romantic or reckless probably says more about your own relationship with authenticity than anything about him. This is the truth behind the headlines. Not a scandal, not betrayal, not chaos in any meaningful sense. Just a person choosing love over fear, connection over protection, truth over performance. In an industry built on illusion, that's genuinely shocking. The real question isn't whether Baris made the right choice for his career. It's why we've built a system where such a choice is necessary at all. If this story resonates with you, if you've ever felt the pressure to hide parts of yourself to meet others' expectations, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's have an honest conversation about authenticity versus image, about what we expect from public figures and whether those expectations are fair or even human. Subscribe for more deep dives into the real stories behind entertainment headlines, where we go beyond the gossip to understand the actual people and systems shaping what we see. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you see a celebrity relationship announcement, you'll think about the courage it takes to love someone publicly in a world that often punishes honesty.